Welcome to the Patreon NHL Ice Guys for Thursday, November 14th. I'm Ian Cameron with Jimmy Murphy and Alex B. Smith. We will have Andrew along with us momentarily as well as we break down the 8-game Thursday card for November 14th. Let's get right into it. Starting at the top of the... Before we do, though, I do want to say congrats to Alex. 4-0 sweep last night. Chicago best bet. Plus 210. Not every day you get to cash a best bet at plus 210 and sweep the board on top of that. So, Alex, congrats. Hope you got an encore in you for tonight.
Thanks. Yeah, hopefully so. It's not like the card like I did last night, but definitely some spots worth playing tonight. So.
All right. Hopefully we got a spot here. Carolina taking on Buffalo. Tricky game because you got Buffalo returning off the Stockholm 2-game sojourn there against the Tampa Bay Lightning. 2 losses against Tampa Bay for Buffalo during their time in Sweden. We've got Carolina minus 140 road favorites, total 6 in this game across the board. Really for the Buffalo Sabres, it's, how's the downtime from playing in Sweden, traveling back home from Europe, and now playing from a Saturday to Thursday long layoff type turnaround? How's it going to impact them tonight? Could really go a bunch of ways. Maybe they're fresh, they're ready, maybe they're worn down, maybe and they play sloppy as a result. Same thing from a totals perspective. You could go either way with this. Buffalo's certainly struggling. They've hit their first major rough patch of the year, 5-game losing streak, 8 goals during that span. Cluster injuries to their forward group, especially the second line. 2/3 of that line out for this game tonight. Marcus Johansson and Vladimir Sobotka both not going to suit up for the Buffalo Sabres. So Ralph Kruger's had to get the blender out, mix up his lines, hopefully proving good results. Obviously, Olofsson, Eichel, and Reinhart, the top line, which has been there together most of the season. That won't change, but you're looking at VC Middlestat moving up to the second line with Curtis Lazar, an AHL call-up, who's had some time with Ottawa and Calgary in the past. He's now up on that second line with the Sabres. Skinner, Rodriguez, and Sheary. Third line, Gergensen, Larson, Okposo, the fourth line. So some shuffling going on. Carolina really wasn't playing all that well until they played Ottawa the other night in a revenge spot. They lost in Ottawa on the weekend. They paid the Senators back with an 8-2 drubbing in Carolina the other night. But I'm not necessarily rushing to bet minus 140 here on Carolina on the road. Sabres are, again, in a little bit of a difficult spot. Not sure I fully trust them. Not sure what we're going to get from them. And they're dealing with some injuries, not playing well either. That doesn't help. 5 losses in a row. So I'm passing on the side. I'm going to take a chance that the layoff and the travel from Europe home for Buffalo affects them more negatively on defense than on offense tonight. So I do like the over a little bit in this game, and I'll make that an official play. Carolina Buffalo over 6 minus 110. Jimmy, what's your thoughts? Hurricanes and the Sabres.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and we make up the points there with them getting back and where they're going to be, kind of reacclimating themselves into North America and the time zones, and just being back in their normal lives. And that's always, people say, oh, these guys are athletes, they should have no problem doing it, but they're human. And it's a difficult task if they don't handle it right. So I'm with you. I think it could definitely affect them. And I think it will. I'm liking the Carolina Hurricanes in this. Carolina's just been kind of up and down right now, trying to find their game again after a really good start. I think this is a good opportunity for them to do that. I think Jimmy Puckline's going to have to come up for this one. Give me the Carolina puck line in this.
Let me unmute myself. There we go. Carolina puck line minus 1.5 plus 185. So a good price there with that. Hurricanes on the puck line. Andrei Svechnikov to score a goal might be worth a look tonight, just because I'm seeing how he's really playing well lately for them. He's got 9 points in his last 8 games for Carolina. You talk about it, you want to be backing goal scoring props where guys are in good form. That's Svechnikov right now for Carolina.
Yeah.
Maybe he finds the back of the net tonight. Alex,
no more lacrosse goals though.
Yeah, no more of that. Although that was fun. I wouldn't want to
goalie,
see
I
that
don't like
all the
it.
time. Yeah, exactly. It's nice to see it once in a while. Keep the puck blade on the ice and score the normal way. Exactly. It's nice once in a while. I wouldn't want to see that routinely. I agree. Alex, what's your take on Carolina Buffalo?
Yeah, it's interesting. This Buffalo team, I thought that trip would either turn things around for them because they were struggling, had lost 3 games before they went overseas, and like I said, a lot of those guys going back to their native country, a lot of Swedish players on that team. Tampa Bay, obviously, we talked about how they struggle at times, but they are still a good hockey team.
Right.
And they were able to pick up a couple of wins there. So now they come back and probably not the best spot for Buffalo, playing a Carolina team that's beat them 9 straight times in the last 9 meetings. Carolina, of course, We saw them explode for 8 goals against Ottawa, snapping their own 4-game losing streak. So if I had to play a side here, I would look with Carolina in regulation. You get that at plus $1.10. But I like the first period over here in the spot too, like you mentioned, Ian. I think the defense will probably suffer more for Buffalo than anything else. So you only land $1.20 with the goal and a half.
Yeah, it's a good price. -120 over 1.5 first period. Second game on the card in rotation order. Next up, New York Rangers, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay -265 to -270. Home favorites total 6.5 shaded to the over in this one. I've got the over in this game as well. Rangers Lightning, same premise as I talked about with Buffalo. I think Tampa Bay could be a little sloppy defensively coming off the Sweden trip. They're in the same exact scheduling spot as the Sabres, coming back from Sweden and now playing their first game back in North America. I'm tempted by New York too at the plus price, but I'm going to have to see the Rangers beat someone pretty high up. And I know they beat Pittsburgh the other night, but Pittsburgh without Letang, without Ornquist, Keycog's out of the lineup for the Penguins. The Rangers had to hang on to win that game the other night. You're stepping up in class now. And another thing why I'm reluctant to pull the trigger on New York tonight is all the quotes coming out of Tampa Bay following that 2-game trip in Sweden, and the 2 wins over Buffalo are all positive. Stamkos is talking about, we bonded together as a team. We felt like we got to know each other again, and we've got our chemistry going again. We feel like we're just playing the hockey we're capable of playing now. They certainly did in the 2 games against Buffalo. They played very well in those 2 games. So maybe it's a buy sign on the Lightning, that maybe they're starting to. It's not their spot tonight coming off that Sweden trip, but nevertheless, it feels like, if you listen to the quotes from the Lightning players, they're starting to feel like they're getting their game together after a really erratic, shoddy, inconsistent first month of the season for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I'm going to stay off the Rangers, even though I lean that way. I will pull the trigger, though, on this game over the total 6.5. Alex, what's your thoughts? Lightning Rangers.
Yeah, I want to take a shot with the Rangers plus 230, but I just can't. Like I said, the fact that the Lightning team said that they've bonded, that's usually what you want out of a trip like that, especially with the fact that they lost 4 of the last 6 before going over to Sweden. So if they got things rolling in momentum, and this is also a kind of, I guess, rapid revenge. You can use that term. They lost to Rangers 4-1 in the spot. So all that together, this is a Tampa team that maybe they finally turn things around now rather than waiting till the beginning of the new year or later down the stretch. So I definitely don't want to get in the way of that trend, especially if they start to roll here tonight. So just a game I'll be watching.
Just a game we'll be watching. As we throw it back to Jimmy to get his take on New York and Tampa Bay, someone in the chat, JStone9, who's usually with us most days, says, Jimmy, how much stuff did you throw across the room last night watching that New York game? Because he had the Islanders puck line.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah. That's a brutal loss. I mean, 5-2 with 2 minutes to go, 2 goals with the extra attacker for the Leafs, make it 5-4.
At that point, too, you're almost like, terrible. Screw the Islanders. I want the Leafs to get it now for screw me, you know?
I know. Just come back, tie the game, and win in overtime or a shootout at that point. Exactly. Yeah. So not a bad beat. I mean, if you had the Islanders puck line, you had the right side. And when you're in this business, you're going to have to suffer through times like that where you have the right side, you made the right bet, but you don't have the result to show for it. And you're going to see that time and time again across all sports. And unfortunately, it happened with the Islanders last night if you took them on the puck line. Jimmy, what's your thoughts here, Rangers Lightning?
I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying, and specifically Alex there saying this. It appears they bonded, the Tampa Bay Lightning bonded a lot more than the Buffalo Sabres did over there in Sweden. And I think that will translate as they get back here. That being said, they're still reacclimating themselves as well. A lot of times you get back, especially if it's a home game, I find. And we talk about this just with a simple road trip, right? When, your first game back at home can be a little flat. I'm going to stay away from I'm going to do the under in this, guys, just because I think there might be a little lack of scoring in the beginning. I think it might be kind of a feeling out process. And as the game goes on, maybe Tampa will find their stride and eventually win, but I just can't take them at the lines we're getting there. So give me the under here, under 6.5.
All right, under 6.5, which is plus 110 on that. Rangers looking to try to get on a roll. They haven't been able to at any point this season, but that's what we're waiting for. Can the Rangers get on some kind of run? They've yet to show us they can this season. We'll see if they can take advantage. Schedule's in their favor, spots in their favor. Doesn't mean they're going to win tonight against this Tampa team. Next up, a fascinating game here. Winnipeg, Florida. Florida -165 to -170 home favorites. Total 6.5 shaded to the under. Look, there's definitely some signs that Florida's getting their game together. They've had a nice little run. they found ways to win despite, still at times iffy defensive play in their own zone. Look no further than the last two games. The Rangers game over the weekend, that was a back and forth shootout that they win 6-5. And then, of course, it goes without saying, this result completely shocked me because you would think Boston Bruins at home, 4-goal lead, game over. Boston's not going to ever blow that kind of game. And sure enough, here comes Florida, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4, popping in goals like into Pez dispenser. And next thing you know, it's a tie game, and Florida pulls it out in a shootout. Remarkable comeback, 5-4. And I saw them jumping around off the ice, going to the dressing room after they came back and won that game. Quenneville talking about, well, that was something else. Didn't necessarily see that one coming, that we would be able to do that. So what does that mean? Well, this means double bet against spot for me tonight for the Florida Panthers. I'm looking at this as a situation where I know they're found ways to win, give them credit, but it's not like they're playing lockdown defense. They found ways to outscore the other team in both of these games. Maybe they caught the Bruins napping, and then once a team gets on that little roll of momentum, it's hard to quell the momentum. That's why comebacks happen in sports, including hockey. And that's exactly what can happen in situations like that. I don't trust Florida in this spot. It's the first game home off a pretty lengthy road trip. They've been in a couple of barn burners in a row, both of them going beyond regulation. The overtime game against the Rangers, the shootout the other night against Boston, coming back from 4-0 down to win. I think this is where they exhale, breathe out, and maybe throw a little bit of a flat spot out there tonight against Winnipeg. Whereas Winnipeg, I think they're in a bet-on spot. They're off of a shutout at home. Really, Adam Werner comes in out of the blue with Pavel Francouz getting injured that game, down to the third-string goalie. And wouldn't you know it, we've seen this happen before, too. Goalie comes in cold, down to the third-string goalie, and he comes in there and absolutely lights it up. Players want to win for him, and that's exactly what happened. Colorado and Adam Werner shutting out the Winnipeg Jets the other night, 4-0. Winnipeg starting a road trip. I think Winnipeg with some focus here. Winnipeg's actually done very well against the Panthers for the majority in recent years. I think this is a live underdog here. I don't trust Florida after two incredible wins to show that poise required. Where's the maturity factor? Are we going to see it from the Panthers? Big wins, 2 in a row like that, high-scoring games, come back to beat Boston. I don't trust them to show up with their A game tonight. And I think Winnipeg will bring a pretty good effort after a shutout at home, getting shutout, I should say, at home. So I think we got a live dog here. We got Winnipeg as high as plus 150. I'm going to take the Jets here in this game at plus 150 in this one. And I don't mind Laurent Brossoit being in net. Hellebuck's been more missed than hit lately for the Winnipeg Jets in net. Give Brossoit a chance. Brossoit's had some good starts in the past. Doesn't hurt the Jets that they're giving him a look in net tonight in this game. Jimmy, what's your thoughts? Jets taking on the Panthers.
Well, I'll tell you, the Florida Panthers to me are like the East Coast version of the Dallas Stars, who, by the way, credit to them for making us last night. They stepped up. Their big guys stepped up. A big win for them last night, so credit to them. But the Panthers are kind of that team that I've been waiting for to take it to that next level and make that leap. I think they've made it, guys. And I look back in the last week, the transformation, the growth of that team. I agree with you, Ian. A lot of defensive holes. That's going to be an issue, and that's something I think that they're going to have to correct more so as they go on through the season, and it takes some time adapting to a new system as well. That being said, you look back to that Capitals game a week ago tonight, and that game to me was a game that they said to themselves, we were right there. We were right there with the best team in hockey. We blew it, but we were right there. And they
should have won that game. Yep.
Yeah, but there was something about it that it was like I don't know if you can ever call a loss a good loss, but I felt like it was finally that big learning experience that this Panthers team needed, and I think that translated tremendously into what we saw in Boston with that comeback they staged there. So I like the Panthers. I'm going to get on this wave right now. I think they're going to go on a little run here. And man, the Adams division is just going to get real tight if that's the case, because you look at the teams, you got Toronto, you got Boston, Montreal bunched up. Now you throw Florida into the mix there. I mean, this division could get really interesting if Florida can get on a run, and I think they will. I'm going with the Panthers money line in this.
All right, Panthers money line, which is right on at minus 150 in this one with the Florida Panthers.
Excuse me. You know what? I want to take it back. Sorry, give me Panthers regulation. My apologies.
Regulation? Okay, yeah, that'll be a near even money price. with Florida. Yeah, better price definitely in regulation time, which is minus 125 on Florida in regulation in this one. So, yeah, I mean, current form-wise, there's no doubt right now current form, Florida's in better form than Winnipeg. There's no question. I just don't know if I trust this team to withstand even a little bit of prosperity, especially the kind of win they had. And you're coming home off a road trip, and it's Florida. We're not only having the normal family and friends, but you've been going to all these cold cities lately, Boston.
Haven't they been on the road the whole season?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now maybe you enjoy a little sunshine and warmth these day or so that you've been back there. I just don't know. We get Florida's A game. We'll see. If Florida brings their A game, they win tonight. If they don't, and I'm not sure they will, the Jets are live. So
I think the biggest thing I'm worried about is Bobrovsky. I mean, that's the thing they got to worry about, right? He's been flat out horrible, and I mean they don't have a chance.
Yep, exactly right.
I mean, Montague comes in, he played great, but are you going to depend on him for the rest of the season? I mean, I
think it's the defenseman more than the goalies. I still stand by
agree.
that. Because Barnabow and Bobrovsky have both been pulled now this year. That tells me that the play in front of these two guys definitely has to get a little bit better.
Was off.
He was off in that game against.
He let in some softies, but then again, Tuukka Rask let in some too.
Yeah, exactly. It ended up being a wild affair. It flew over the total after a really slow start, goal scoring wise. That Florida-Boston game. All right, Alex, what's your thoughts here? Panthers, Jets.
You can make a case for either side. Like you said, Florida playing solid hockey, but now coming back home off a road trip, usually a spot worth fading. He said Winnipeg, they've won 4 of the last 6, and they're just, it's like I said, it's a hard team to read, at least in my eyes. But the one thing I'm looking at here, and I have the numbers up on the Patreon page with the first period totals. I'm actually going to go under in this spot. I wish these teams were flip-flopped as far as location, because Winnipeg on first period unders at home, and Florida first period on the road have been trending both 4 and 8, but even when you flip-flop them around, he said, not just so much the goaltending, it's just these teams seem to start slow and then make their adjustments. You talk about Florida, how they got their win the last game. They made those adjustments later on and were able to take care of business. So that's something I expect to see here. So I'm playing this first period under 2 at minus $1.35, and then I'll be watching this game looking to possibly jump back on the over live after the first period.
All right, so under 2 minus 135 first period for Alex with Winnipeg and Florida. We welcome Andrew McGinnis into the show. Welcome in, Andrew. And first 3 games we looked at: Carolina, Buffalo, Rangers, Tampa, Winnipeg, Florida. Andrew, floor is yours. What do you say about those 3 games?
Yeah, if it's all right, I'll just start with this one because this is the one I actually have an official play on. I'm on the over in this one. I looked at it pretty hard. I really, really wanted to grab Florida here, guys, but I just didn't like the price I was getting. And, Winnipeg's kind of turned it around a little bit. So I think it's kind of a disrespectful, for Florida and Winnipeg matching up. But I'm on the over in this one. I think you look at that Boston game, you look at the way that, Boston scores 4 in the second, and all of a sudden they allow 4 in the third period. It really shows us that no matter what right now, this Florida team is going to be cashing over tickets. They're going to find a way to score some goals. And, I look at this Winnipeg team right now and I see that, they've definitely been inconsistent. But like I said, they haven't really been getting the credit they deserve. They're still actually a pretty good hockey team. Look at their record right now. They've been getting some pretty good odds. And I think it's a big overreaction from what we saw the start of the year from them. I mean, they weren't really the team we expected them to be, especially defensively. I remember cashing an over with them earlier in the season against the Devils. I think it was like maybe 2 goals in the game midway through the second period and ended with a total of like 9 or 10 goals. So, this team is more than capable putting up a big amount of goals and, seeing an offensive surge. They have the talent up front, guys. I just don't know if they can back check, and I don't know if I trust Hellebuck. I mean, Alex and I, myself, both really liked Hellebuck, last year and the year before. And all of a sudden now he's just been, such a flip-flop goalie. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. He's still a decent starter. But, in a game like this, competing against a team like Florida, I'm going to go ahead and go over 6.5 as my first official play here on the card.
I can't blame you. The only thing that kept me off the over in this game, because it's my lean as well, and I stayed off it, as much as Florida's been a dead nuts over team. Like, I mean, just a team that's been going over the total repeatedly. Winnipeg's been a dead nuts under team recently. It's a clash of something's got to give. I don't know what is going to give tonight. And I also have a worry that Winnipeg really plays hard and digs in a little bit more defensively for Brossois, getting this first start in a long time tonight for the Jets. And it can't be worse than the Hellebuck. I think and Brossois is going to come into this game thinking, hey, if I play well tonight, I could get another start or two moving forward. Like, I think there's an opening now where I could get some more opportunities in net if I play well tonight. And I think that's an incentive. So we're all over the place here. Alex likes the first period under. Jimmy likes Florida in regulation. Andrew likes the full game over, and I like Winnipeg plus 150. So we're going everywhere.
I will say, I've been a big trends better this year as far as like recent patterns. And so looking at the last game, like they played the Jets losing 4-0 to Colorado, you wouldn't think that I'd like an over with this team. But again, I think they've been the biggest flip-flop team of the 2019 season so far. They could literally lose 7-0 one game and the next game go out and win 4-2. This is a team it doesn't bother me that they're coming off a 4-0 loss. If anything, it motivates me for them to have a bounce back spot. And I'm not much of a bounce back handicapper, but I feel like this Winnipeg team, they're going to be kind of pissed. And they have some guys that can score. Brian Little's out, but the usual guys are in the lineup tonight, and hopefully they get some goals for me.
Yeah,
but hopefully Jimmy wins his bet too.
Yes, exactly. Well, definitely one of these games that's going to be very intriguing to see how it plays out. Arizona, Minnesota. We've got Minnesota minus 120, total 5.5. Shaded to the under at minus 135 in this one. Minnesota ending their road trip in LA with a loss the other night, 3-1 against the Kings. Now they're in a dubious spot tonight. Minnesota first home game off a road trip spot, coming home, returning. And this is actually a short turnaround revenge situation. This was the opponent that Arizona played on the weekend in the desert. They blew a lead to this Wild team and lost that game. And Rick Tocchet wasn't happy. That's when he said, I've had enough. We're blowing too many leads. We're not bearing down in the third period of these games. And since he made that little, direct quote to his team after that loss to Minnesota, they haven't lost. They beat Washington on Monday. They blew a lead there. So maybe they didn't dig into the coach right away, but they recovered. They found a way to win in a shootout against Washington. And then how about the comeback against St. Louis the other night in a tough spot, back-to-back on the road, and they come back in the third period and beat the St. Louis Blues in a really difficult spot. Really impressive from Arizona. This is a good hockey team. They just got to show it consistently. I think they're definitely better than Minnesota, and I think they'll want to avenge the loss at home to Minnesota. I think they're better than Minnesota. I don't like the spot for Minnesota, home off a road trip. Yeah, get in Arizona at even money in this matchup, no-brainer to me. Give me the give me the Coyotes here, plus 100 over Minnesota. Jimmy, what's your thoughts? Arizona, Minnesota.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Rick Tocchet. It was actually, you guys should give a listen to. I just listened to the podcast on NBC Sports there with Pierre Maguire and Rick Tocchet, and really just some great stuff on how Tocchet has learned since his days dealing with Steven Stamkos, his first head coaching game. If you remember, that was kind of a nightmare then, but it taught him a lot about how to deal with young players, especially young gifted players like Stamkos, or even a little lesser level than that. But really interesting stuff there, and obviously that's one of the reasons Arizona went out and got him, and it's working right now for the Coyotes. I love the job he's doing right now. Guys, I'm gonna go a little. This is weird to me that I'm looking at it right now where you on the money line can get even money for Arizona. I'm gonna take it a step further. Give me the reverse Jimmy Puck line, the alternative line here for the Arizona Coyotes.
There you go. That's a great price on that. Like I'm a little let down maybe after beating Washington and St. Louis, but I don't think so because they lost to Minnesota and they blew a lead Saturday.
They remember that.
They remember that. It was only a few days ago. They want to get Minnesota back for that. And they're better than Minnesota, flat out. To me, this is a better team on paper than this Minnesota team. They've played like it this season. Plus 335. Ooh, now there's a price right there. Arizona, reverse puck line or alternative puck line, plus 335 for Jimmy on this one. Andrew, let's get your thoughts. Coyotes at the Wild.
Well, when I saw this one, my initial lean and my initial thoughts were the same thing as Jimmy. I wanted the Coyotes bad. I wanted to bet them. I think that I've talked about this all year. That I think they're an improved hockey team. They, have the scoring finally. They've showed us some level of consistency, but for some reason, something is pulling me away. Minnesota, for some reason, Minnesota gets up for the games against the teams like Arizona. They're just on the brink, Minnesota has been getting dominated by teams they should get dominated by, but against the lower tier teams and the teams that they can maybe find a win against, they've been showing up against. So look, and for some reason, a 6-11 team is finally starting to score for a team averaging, 2.6, 2.7 goals per game. They're finally starting to be involved in some higher scoring games. We saw against Anaheim, they scored 4, against San Jose, they scored 5. Against Arizona in their last one, they scored 4. So, it worries me that they could it's just going to be a first of 4 wins. But I think that this should be a really good test for Arizona, and if they want to be taken seriously, they should be able to handle the Minnesota Wild. So this is a pass for me. But if I was to play on this game, it would definitely be the Arizona Coyotes here because, like Jimmy alluded to here, this is a good price here, and I wouldn't blame him for going on that puck line. I feel like if they get the victory, they win by margin.
All right, lean to Arizona, but no official play. Darcy Kemper in net, by the way, tonight for Arizona against his former team, and very excited.
Even more motivation.
Yeah, even more motivation for sure. You'd love to see him knock off Minnesota here. Hey, Alex, let's get your thoughts here. Minnesota hosting Arizona.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I was seeing that they said Ronta was going to be playing. He was first off the ice. So that's something.
Oh, really? Wow.
Check, yeah.
I haven't checked in a few hours, so I better.
And the reason I'm seeing that, and the quote that I'm seeing was that also that Kemper played in the last meeting, and that he was having some kind of back and forth with some of his old teammates. So between that and the layoff that Ronta's had, I'm thinking Ronta's more likely going to be getting the start here. So definitely check around.
Good call.
Is it Ronta?
Good call,
okay.
Alex. It is Ronta. Okay. Ronta Dubnyk. Yep.
Yeah. So, but even with that, I mean, right now I pretty much have those two goalies fairly pretty even. I mean, there's gonna be plenty of tickets available down the street here for this game with the Wild. Like I said, they haven't been home lately. They've been, it's an up and down road trip. Like I said, they're finally starting to score. They could have scored more, especially look at the that last game against LA. They had a ton of chances that they just completely missed out on, and ended up losing that game 3-1. But this is just a interesting game. Like I said, Arizona, finally rallying after the way they lost to the Wild at home in that game. It's funny, you look at their first period numbers, 6-4, the last 10 to the over. They could easily be 10-0 because there were a ton of times where they missed goals early. And it's funny because that's not their style. We talk about it, it seems like every episode about how they slow things down, try to control the puck in the neutral zone. They are the up and down team that they tried to beat, say, a couple of years ago. But they've been getting quality scoring chances, and I believe it's because of that style. They've been forcing turnovers early. Just like we talk about catching teams late in games when they're fatigued, you can catch teams early if they just aren't in the zone right away. And especially when you talk about a team that's just coming back home off of a road trip like the Wild. So give me Arizona here at even money. The only thing that scares me about taking anything like a reverse puck line or regulation is that we've seen 4 of the last 6 games with the Coyotes go into overtime or a shootout. So they haven't making things easy as far as wrapping it up within 60 minutes. But I think they do leave St. Paul tonight with a win.
All right, like an Arizona plus 100. You're right. Both these teams, in terms of the volume of one-goal hockey games, yeah, these two teams are in a bunch of them. Let's put it that way. Colorado, Edmonton. We've got Edmonton minus 135, total 6, shaded to the over in this one. We've got Colorado, who's down to their third goalie on their depth chart because of injuries to Philip Grubauer and then to Pavel Francouz, who is going to be out tonight against the Oilers, which means what we're going to be seeing Mr. Adam Werner once again in net for the Avalanche. Really been a journeyman minor league goalie who just comes out of nowhere and shuts out the Jets. The problem is, goalies like this, they have that magical first performance. I don't trust them to back it up the second game. That's a concern for me tonight against Edmonton. Edmonton coming off a bad defensive game, 6-3 loss to San Jose the other night. San Jose really got their offense going against the Oilers. Oilers have been a team that's usually been better defensively after a bad defensive showing this year. They haven't had many under Dave Tippett, but a lot of times they've been much better defensively that next time out here in this one. And so I was initially thinking under, but I don't trust Werner to be anywhere close to as good. He has that magical game. I could see him falling flat tonight against this Oilers team that I think returning home after a bad game against San Jose could be wanting to show up and show pretty strong for themselves. So I changed my opinion to lean to the over. I'm passing on this game entirely, but I would lean a little bit to the over. And I could only bet Edmonton, believe it or not, in this spot. Even though I like Colorado, this journeyman goalie, I've seen this movie a lot where the guy comes in, for an injured goalie the previous game is tremendous, and then the next game he's nowhere close to that same guy. And I worry that could happen tonight for Adam Werner in the Colorado net. But it's also being factored into the number, too. Like, Edmonton's not just laying a little price here, minus 135, minus 140 against a damn good Colorado team. So that's the issue. I'm not sure it's great value with Edmonton, even though I get a sneaking suspicion they might pull out the home win tonight. Jimmy, what's your thoughts? Avs Oilers. Up, he's muted now. He's still
Sorry
muted.
about that.
There we go. That's okay.
Okay. Anyhow, I don't know if that's the gods trying to tell me something, but anyhow, I'm with you, Ian. You know, like this is one of those games. It's one of the toughest on the card tonight.
Yes.
To me. And, you know, for all the reasons you laid down there, I think it's going to be a great game. I really love the two teams that are playing in this, but I'm going to pass on this, just going to be a spectator. But if I had to, I would lean towards Edmonton. I like what you said there, that they do bounce back, but a pass for me.
All right. Yes. Again, Adam Warner, again, exceptional in that last game. But again, let's see what he can do now that you finally seen him in some action, a little scouting report, a little bit of evidence as to his tendencies in net. We'll see if Edmonton exploits those tonight. Andrew, what's your thoughts on this game, Colorado-Edmonton?
I like Edmonton here, making this an official play here for the Ice Guys. I think that I feel the exact same way in my handicapping strategy as you do, Ian. You look at the way that he played coming off a 4-0 shutout. You're feeling good about yourself. Your team's feeling great. You're missing Grubauer. You're missing Zadorov probably. Randon's still out. Landeskog out. You got to say, hold up. I mean, we're playing another great hockey team right now in the Edmonton Oilers, 12-6-2 record with them, and we're getting a minus 120, 125 price. This is a fully healthy Colorado team. I'll be staying away. Probably looking to back Colorado, honestly, at a pretty good price. But with the change we've seen and a healthy, goaltending situation for Edmonton, and I think it's Smith, right, guys? Yeah. You know what? I feel like this is a good chance for him to get it done and stay strong for his team between the pipes. So I also would lean to the under here. Again, I get what I'm saying here about the backup goalie, but I still think we'll see a decent performance out of him. But Edmonton is fully healthy pretty much. And they have been getting a little more secondary scoring. And we've been saying it since day one. Ian's been stressing it hard. Edmonton's moving more towards lower scoring defensive team, or at least they want to be anyway. So, I'm taking Edmonton here, guys, but lean to the under as well.
All right, lean to the under, but is taking Edmonton. Andrew is an official play, minus 135. Alex, Colorado, Edmonton.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with Edmonton here. I'm going to go with them in regulation. And here's the interesting stat. I saw Mike Smith, 11-1-4 in 16 career starts against Colorado, 2.08 goals against and 2 shutouts. This is arguably one of the best teams that he faces in his career. So that's definitely something worth looking at. But also, too, we guys talking about with Warner getting into that game, I think it's almost kind of a better spot for Warner to get into that game in the middle of things, relieving Francouz, as opposed to just having his first start where, like you said, the book on him still is a bit out. There's still not really much to scout about him, where he's going to get more and more stars, which he more than likely will because he's the starter now. Antoine Bebeau, who ironically enough was actually injured in the AHL for the Colorado Eagles, ended up getting the call up and will be backing up Warner here. So if Warner gets run out of this game, you basically not only down to your fourth-string goalie, but your fourth-string goalie who's coming off of an injury as well. So this could get ugly if Edmonton does figure out Warner early in this game. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think Edmonton wins this game, but I would also kind of lean a little bit, too, with that under. I think we'll see Warner play well. I think that was a lot of confidence boosting for him to get into the middle of that game, knowing the situation that's already taking place with Colorado, losing some of their key offensive players, but to still step up and keep that shutout going.
Yeah, that's the issue. And DX Filer in the chat saying Colorado 15-3 over first period, 8-1 over first period on the road. That's definitely true and all that, but it smells like it could be a slower start, especially if Edmonton has their way. Dave Tippett said we were making mistakes with the puck again. That usually indicates wanting to clean that up. So, again, there's conflicting arguments back and forth, which is why, for me, this game is just leans only, not involved in it from a betting standpoint. Next game, we've got Dallas-Vancouver. Vancouver minus 150, total 5.5 shaded to the under. Man, I just see a 5.5 at plus price with a Vancouver home game, and I think, don't I have to bet this game over the total? But I don't know if I can. It's like pulling teeth getting Dallas to go over the total. It really is. This team is just not an offensive juggernaut. They love winning games the exact way they won last night in Calgary. 2-1, get an empty net goal, 3-1. That's the way they want to win. Like, they're not lighting up the scoreboard. They've got injuries. They want to play 1-0, 2-1, 3-1 games. That's Dallas, and they're not going to change. That's the way they're going to play right now. So, again, this 5.5 staring me in the face here saying bet the over. I can't do it. I just cannot, but not with this Dallas team. I think Vancouver's sitting in a good spot. They're at home. after beating Nashville. Dallas back-to-back on the road. I don't trust them in this situation, but I don't want to lay $1.50 with Vancouver. So this game I'm going to pass on as well. Lean over because
you sound like me and just really want to get the 5.5 because it's just there, but it's like
with Vancouver, but I don't know what the hell Dallas is going to do. Dallas is going to want to dumb this game down, tight to the vest, Katie bar the door hockey, 2-1, 3-1 like normal, and I can't do it. They've been an under machine, so I lean over. It's the only way. I think it's value on it, but I can't do it with Dallas. I just can't. Jimmy, what's your thoughts? Stars Canucks.
Ooh, this is going to be an interesting one, right? I mean, I was just giving credit to Dallas there, and again, they finally turning a corner. Who knows? But I love Vancouver. We were talking about them yesterday, just how fun they are to watch, and just how much they've improved. I got a feeling we're in for a little extra time tonight, so I'm going to take the draw in this game, guys. Give me the draw. I'm looking at it at plus 290. I see a little OT, even maybe a shootout between the Canucks and Stars tonight.
Yeah, never a bad look with Dallas involved. They play a lot of tight one-goal games. Draw plus 290 in this one. Andrew, Dallas, Vancouver. I got my Dallas win last night. I'm not pushing my luck with them again.
Ian's throwing shots at me now. No, I'm just joking. But I was on Calgary and it didn't go well for me.
Oh yeah, shit! I forgot about that. I forgot about it, to be honest. Yeah.
He's like, Andrew, I was on Dallas. No, but look, the thing is, I had to wonder, Ian, was it a bad offensive performance from Calgary or was it a good defensive performance from Dallas? And that's really what this comes down to for me because, Ian, Jimmy said it. Is this a new Dallas team? Have they turned it around or haven't they? Because when I look at this spot here, I think that anyone that watches hockey these days would probably say gut instinct is Vancouver. But Dallas is getting their shit together a little bit. They're turning things around. And it's like you said, they're going to be – and if you remember, in the playoffs last year, they were that team that was so exciting to watch. But we were seeing, probably totals of 5, I think it was, guys, right? Mm-hmm. Playoffs. And that's the kind of they're going to be paint dry kind of hockey. That's what it's going to be. I mean, they're not going to be the Washington Capitals or Florida Panthers giving you 5 or 6 goals. If you're going to watch them play the Dallas Stars and you're a fan of the team, you better be hoping for a 2-1 victory. That's what you're hoping for. You're not going to get a high-scoring game. So, I look at this game and I can't really decide. I would want to go over the total of 5.5, just simply because Dallas is finally lighting the lamp these days, and I trust Vancouver. They've got some guys that can score, obviously. Pettersson's on pace for an outstanding season. But it's like Ian said, who knows what the hell we're going to get from Dallas. And I don't want to hop on their streak too late, guys. So if they start getting it going, we can all watch together every day. We talk sports. We talk hockey, obviously. But I'm not really buying what they're selling just quite yet enough to make a play on it. One thing that was good news for Dallas is Joe Pavelski's starting to percolate a little bit for them. He had 2 goals last night against Calgary. Now he's got 10 points. He's closing in on the team lead now. The leader is starting to show up, Pavelski, and that could be bolstering Dallas moving forward now that he looks like he's starting to settle in and get comfortable finally with his new team. Alex, what's your thoughts, Dallas, Vancouver?
Obviously when you talk about Dallas, you talk about under and low scoring team, low scoring games. But, Andrew, you mentioned, you said you don't know what to expect from Dallas. Dallas seems to be the more consistent group right now. The team I'm worried about is Vancouver. I mean, you'll have one night where they score 5 goals, and the next couple of nights they only get 1. So they're very inconsistent right now offensively, which means I can't even take the total here because who knows if they get on fire, they can get 6 on their own. Now you're over, or they play down to Dallas' style. And it's a 2-1 hockey game. So even with that side and total, I can't take anything here. So it's a complete pass.
All right, complete pass. San Jose, Anaheim, always a good rivalry. Always a lot of dislike between these two teams, Sharks and Ducks. You throw LA when those 3 teams, San Jose, Anaheim, LA, play each other. It's usually a physical game. San Jose minus 115, road favorites. Total 6 shaded to the under in this one. What's wrong with Anaheim? I mean, another collapse the other night against Detroit. They lose in overtime. Kudos to my colleagues. Some of them were on the Red Wings in that game. I was too scared to do it, and they got rewarded for it. Detroit with the comeback win against Anaheim. And that was after Ryan Getzlaf said, we got to shore things up after they lost 6-2 to Edmonton at home. They didn't shore it up. They coughed up a third-period lead against Detroit, so the struggles are prolonged now, struggles for the Anaheim Ducks. Defensively, they've come apart a little bit. We talked about the last show. Hampus Lindholm, Josh Manson, not household names on the blue line, but guys the Anaheim Ducks dearly miss. Their scoring's dried up for the most part. That's a problem. And for as much as I've disliked and said bet against San Jose, they're in good form right now. They're playing better hockey than Anaheim. Anaheim's dealing with a crisis of confidence right now. I'm still in that boat where I'm not betting on San Jose. I'm not doing it, but if I had to in this game, I would lean to the Sharks just a little bit, but not a game I'm going to get involved in. Jimmy, what's your thoughts on San Jose Anaheim?
I'm with you, Ian. I don't like this game at all. Both teams just confuse me, so I'm going to stay far away.
It's worth noting, too, San Jose's had a lot of home cooking, a lot of home games lately, and a lot of weaker opponents in this nice little run they've had. So we'll see if as the competition gets tougher for them, if they can keep those wins coming. That'll be the true indication and measure of whether San Jose is really turning it around or not. Andrew, what's your thoughts on this San Jose-Anaheim matchup?
I'm going to take San Jose. This is a half-unit play for me, so I'm not making it official, but I'm recommending it out. It's just something that I got involved in. It's enough for me to want to make a wager, but nothing I'm going too crazy about. San Jose has kind of gotten their act together a little bit, and it hasn't been against bad teams either. They've sort of picked it up. We saw them score 6 goals twice in their past, I think, 3-4 games. And I think the biggest thing with this San Jose team is they're known. Some teams can have that one line that does a lot of the work for them. Some teams can have that. San Jose cannot. They need to have the secondary scoring. Every team needs to have it, but I think San Jose specifically, once they start relying on 1 or 2 guys that consistently do it, all hell breaks loose, and all the stress goes on 1 or 2 guys, and they can't get anything else from anybody else. So once that starts to roll and we see some high numbers, I think San Jose is comfortable being a higher scoring team, and they've been kind of competing that way. Anaheim, I think their parade was over. They started to do all right. All of a sudden, they lost 4 straight games, and they were minus 170 favorites against Detroit the other night when they lost 4th. And there was a time to back them, a time to look at them. I cashed a few tickets with them over the total, but for now, San Jose is the better team. And like I always say these days, we're getting a pretty damn good price here with them as well. So I would definitely recommend making a play on the San Jose Sharks, but nothing I'm crazy about.
Small play, not an official one, though. San Jose minus 110 to minus 115 in this one. Martin Jones looks like he'll be the goalie. Not confirmed yet for Anaheim, but I would think they'll give Gibson another chance. I think the problem, again, with Gibson's more the people in front of him. The difference with San Jose is they're not relying fully on that top line of Vander Kane's line and Couture and LeBanc. Now that second line's been on fire for them, including the last game. Timo Meier, Tomas Hertl, and Barclay Goodrow. They've been really good for San Jose, that second line. Secondary scoring, we talk about it so much. San Jose's getting that right now from that trio. Alex, what's your thoughts, San Jose, Anaheim?
I can't take the Sharks here because if you look at a couple of those wins in this 4-game win streak, I mean, they're down there giving up some giant leads. They haven't been able to hold on to anything. So you wonder if that bubble bursts at some point. But the one thing I like here, and it's a bit juicy of a price, but at minus $1.60, I'm taking the team total over 2.5 with the Sharks. Like I said, we've been seeing them getting a ton of offense. And if you look on the flip side, the defense has been very weak right now for Anaheim. The goaltending, like I said, it feels like they're kind of starting to burn Gibson out. I know it was Miller last game, but the fact that they're running more, we talked about at the beginning of the year a lot about 1A, 1B. They're running a true 1-2 system here with Gibson and Miller. And Miller getting older by the day. It seems like every start that he gets, he's not as sharp. It seems like he needs to get more work in now if they want to run this system down the stretch. So they seem to be burning Gibson a little bit. So between that and missing, like I said, Manson and Lindholm on the blue line, they're still susceptible to giving up some goals. So San Jose over 2.5. I think they should be able to cash this, even if they end up blowing the lead late and losing the game.
All right, San Jose team total. That's a decent look there, over 2.5.
Love it, Alex. Love
160. That's good. I think they can probably get to 3 goals. Yeah, we're not making Ryan Miller out to sound like he's going to be going to the seniors' home and bring out the wheelchair for the guy or anything. But right, with those old creaky goaltending bones, and it is old and creaky for a goalie approaching 40 right now, and that doesn't play a whole lot. That's a concern. You can't just throw him in there and expect, lights out performance. It's very difficult, especially as you get older as a backup goalie. And Ryan Miller certainly has had those issues at times this year for Anaheim. All right, the last game on the card is Detroit, Los Angeles, LA minus 145 to minus 150. Home favorites, total 6, shaded to the under. I can't understand this line. I flat out cannot understand it. The Detroit Red Wings have adrenaline again. They have energy again. They're 3 wins in a row since Robbie Fabry came to the team, scored 2 goals in the opener against Boston. And all of a sudden people say, hey, look at this new guy. And all of a sudden everybody else gets excited and energy and starts playing better and snapping to attention and getting their games going again. And we've seen them beat Boston at home. They beat Vegas at home. And I only stayed off taking them against Anaheim because I took them against Vegas and they rewarded me. I only stayed off them against Anaheim because of the road losing streak, which was at 7 or 8 games, and they corrected that with that come-from-behind win against the Ducks. Okay, LA beat Minnesota in their last game, 3-1. Big freaking deal as far as I'm concerned. They had a miserable road trip, not a good hockey team. The Kovalchuk nonsense floating around this team, permeating their dressing rooms, a negative in my mind. And anytime I see Los Angeles, never mind just favored, but favored at this price, you got the little minus sign, and I see minus 145, minus 150 next to it. I say, oh, hell no, is what I say. Give me the Detroit Red Wings here, Motor City, plus 130. Good price. This team has found some mojo again, and right now, current form-wise, they're better than LA. Give me Detroit here, plus 130. Jimmy, what's your thoughts on this one?
I'm right with you, Ian, and we kind of teased this yesterday, right? So, yeah, this is just asinine. I don't know what's going on if, they're just not paying attention to what Detroit's doing right now, but they've turned things around. Not completely. I don't expect them to make a playoff run or anything, but they're just playing better hockey right now. And, like you said, they've got some momentum. They're moving the puck well, just all around confidence going through that team right now. And then you look at the other side, and that's a team that's just in complete disarray, knows this is a lost season already. And, like you mentioned, the Kovalchuk thing, I think we're going to see more situations like that. Where some veterans are going to be shipped out eventually. And it's just not a good atmosphere around the LA Kings. And I don't think it will be, frankly, for the rest of this season. So I'm going to go with the Detroit Red Wings in regulation for this game. I'm looking at them at plus 185, all over that.
All right, Detroit in regulation. Actually, we'll give you, I think we'll give you better than that. Plus 230 is the current price in regulation of Detroit. So there you go. Plus 230 in regulation with the Detroit Red Wings. Again, they're not going to win indefinitely. There are going to be plenty of more losses for Detroit. It's not like all of a sudden they're right back and they're a big-time team again. But, they beat good teams. Boston, Vegas, and Anaheim. Those 3 teams are all better than this LA team they're going to play tonight. That's for sure. I think unless they have a letdown, I don't know. They're still high off the comeback against Anaheim. I don't see it. I think they can get the job done tonight. Andrew, what's your thoughts? Red Wings, Kings.
I think as far as what we've seen out of the Red Wings recently, you'd want to grab them, and I can't talk anyone out of the regulation bet there. For me, I was shocked to see a 6 as the total here. I like to look at the games on the odds page before I look at anything. I look at the games first, then I check the odds page, and then kind of make my picks accordingly based off what kind of prices I'm getting. And I expected a 5.5 shaded to the over maybe, but seeing a 6 here was shocking. I'm on the under in this one. We've seen Detroit scoring 100%. We've seen the LA Kings be such an up and down team, but ultimately, guys, I have this theory for this game that I just for some reason I feel like it's going to be a tight one. I think LA is going to say, hey, look, maybe this is one we could win. A lot of times this year I've been saying 2 shitty hockey teams go up against each other and we see maybe an over. But in this one, it's a different handicap for me. It's it's hopefully going to be a lot of neutral zone time, a very hard checking physical game, and a game that's very winnable for both squads. So I'd be shocked to see 7 goals in this one, and I'm happy enough to get the 6 and take an under in this one. So the Detroit Red Wings are still the Red Wings. They had a great run and they've been doing well. It's like Ian said, we got to think about reality. This team isn't all of a sudden unbeatable. So I think that LA is still struggling to score. Look at their last 5-6 games. And they're both being scored on for sure, but hopefully they can come together and put together a good defensive hockey game for me. I'm on the under 6 in this one.
Under 6, Detroit, LA. Someone asking in the chat, 3-team parlay. I'm going to give you one with a ton of value that I think is not crazy. I think it has a legit shot to cash and go 3-0. Jets, Coyotes, Red Wings, plus 1050, over 10-1 odds. Jets, Coyotes, Red Wings. I really like that one tonight. Alex, what's your thoughts? Detroit, LA.
Right, yeah, that's even better. I like Carolina with Coyotes and Red Wings. But with that being said, I am on Detroit. The only thing that scares me off of playing this in regulation, and just kind of what you said, these are 2 shitty hockey teams that could really slow the pace down. and drag things out. And we haven't seen any blowout wins the last 3 games for Detroit. The last game was in overtime. The other game was the 3-2, the 4-2 win. They ended up getting a goal late. So I'm going to just play it safe. And if this game goes in OT, I still feel comfortable Detroit will win it. So I'll take Detroit money line at plus $1.30.
All right, plus 130 money line. All right, that's going to wrap up the show. We'll recap everybody's selections. Jimmy, Carolina puck line minus 1.5 plus 185. Arizona puck line minus 1.5 plus 335. Rangers Tampa Bay under 6.5 plus 110. Florida in regulation minus 125. Dallas Vancouver draw plus 290. Detroit in regulation plus 230. Jimmy, do you have a best bet?
I'm going to go with that. Detroit in regulation is my best bet.
All right, good stuff. Detroit in regulation, best bet. Andrew McGinnis, Winnipeg, Florida, over 6.5, minus 115. Edmonton, minus 135. Detroit, Los Angeles, under 6, minus 115. Have you got a best bet?
Yeah, best bet for me is going to be on that under in the LA and Detroit game. And I gave away one of these last week, and it lost by 1, which how most parlays do, which it shouldn't have. But just for fun, I'm giving another one as well that I made for myself tonight. If anyone wants to tail, they can. The viewership, they can pick a few games out of it, but I'm on it. Miami Heat money line, Clippers Pelicans under 233.5, Jets Panthers over, Oilers money line, and Reds and Red Wings and Kings under 6. So Miami Heat, Pelicans under, Panthers over, Oilers money line, and Red Wings under 6. That's 50 to win $863. So
nothing wrong with a couple of bucks.
That one, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing wrong with sprinkling a couple of bucks on those. For Alex, he's on Carolina Buffalo, over 1.5, minus 120 first period. Winnipeg, Florida, under 2, minus 135 first period. Edmonton in regulation, plus 105. San Jose team total, over 2.5, minus 160. And Detroit, plus 130. Oh, and Arizona, plus 100. Forgot that one, too. Alex, what's your best bet?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Arizona plus 100. That's my best bet.
All right, best bet, Arizona, plus 100 for Alex. And for me, 5 plays and a best bet. I haven't had a best bet for a while, but I got one tonight. Carolina Buffalo, over 6, minus 110. Rangers Tampa Bay, over 6.5, minus 130. Winnipeg, plus 150. Arizona, plus 100. And my best bet, the game we just talked about, Detroit, plus 130. Against Los Angeles. That's going to wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern. This is the start of our new Friday showtime, 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We'll be on the air with our Friday edition of the Ice Guys. For Jimmy, Andrew, and Alex, I'm Ian Cameron. Enjoy your Thursday. Good luck with all your wagers. We'll see you tomorrow right here again on the Patreon NHL